it's finally go time. Got everything put in there. Everything looked good. Filled it up with oil, coolant. Even remember to put some fluid back in the power steering. Hooked the battery back up. Didn't smoke anything. I can't think of anything else, so let's see if it'll fire up. Well, nothing blew up. Nothing's dripping on the ground. Let's check. Better add some more power steering fluid. First order of business, I got to take it to the gas station because I had the tanks out. It's got very little gas in it. Get that fixed. Drive it around, break it in a little bit, and then I'll probably have to clear probably a dozen trouble codes from all the stuff I've taken off of it. Other than that, hopefully it'll be good to go. So let's go get some gas. I'll be right back. Well, I told you I'd be back, but if you can tell by my change of clothes now that I'm in my work uniform, it's a day later. I needed to go get gas yesterday, said I'd be right back, hopped in the car, it's running fine, would not go into gear. Had an air bubble, and it was a hard one to find. The clutch felt like it was working fine, but it just wouldn't go into gear. We bled. Luckily, I had put the remote bleeder in, tried that a couple times, couldn't get anything out of it. Finally, I thought maybe I had something hung in the quick connect because I'd had it off and on a couple times moving stuff around. So I disconnected it, held the piece from the master cylinder up, put a little pressure on the pedal, and worked a little check valve in there. And looked like there was some air, hooked it back together, bled it a little more through the line. Then it's worked perfect. The only other thing I've had was that didn't change the tune at all, but once it got warmed up, it would not idle. So that means that my heavy LS7 flywheel has been masking idle problems this whole time. So I've been playing around with that. Now I've got it idling probably better than it ever has since I put the cam in it. Mess with your base airflow idle setting. Base airflow, yeah. It says it's what the engine is expecting. It's the main table for idle. But I've learned most of my tuning from looking at other tunes and lots of other, in fact, all of the other performance tunes I've looked at, that table had never been messed with. And I had bumped it up a little bit on this car, and it seemed to help a little bit, but I never went too far with it. Well, apparently that's what it's telling the computer, how far to open your throttle body at idle. And I need to go a lot further, because this thing absolutely, when it was cold, let's see, this table starts out high when it's cold and drops off once it warms up. Well, it would idle okay cold, but then once it warmed up, you'd come to a stop, it just died. So I started bumping that up, and every time I bump it up, it'd run a little better. Now I've got it to where it is really running slick. And I've actually been running without the mass airflow sensor. I've had it faulted out because it seemed to idle better and respond better on using a speed density tube. But now that I've got the idle set up, I may turn the mass airflow sensor back on and play with it a little more. And I need to get my buddy's car, because he has a lightweight flywheel too, and his has always had, his has had more idle issues than mine. But now I think I should be able to fix his up. But we're talking the stock tune at warmed up temperature was like 7.4 grams of air per second, I think was how it was rated. I'm up to like almost 14 now, and it runs sweet. When you come to a stop, it goes back down to an idle, stays there. When you fire it up, it has the initial surge, then drops right down to where it's supposed to be. So I'm real happy with the idle. But that base idle setting, base idle airflow setting, if you've got a cam and you're trying to get it to idle, that's the one to work with. Because I've read that change the idle timing, change the idle speed, and none of that. I mean, it'd get it to where they'd work, but they weren't working right. You just got to bump that up. Other than that, I was kind of worried about the lightweight flywheel. It was already causing me trouble with the idle. And then it was a little bit chattery when I would take off there at the beginning, but it seems to be breaking in real nice. The clutch shimming doesn't appear to be an issue. It hasn't blown the seal out, and it does disengage and engage and everything just like it should. But it is feeling better the more I drive it. Now it feels about like the LS7 one as far as engagement. But boy, when you step on it, it is a noticeable increase in power. You're not having to wind up that heavy flywheel anymore, and it just takes off. There's a wide section, like 3 lanes of highway, a turning lane, that I usually go a little sideways coming out of. Well, I pulled out from there a while ago and goosed it, and I was like stuck up against the side like, oh crap. Yeah, it works good. I like it. So I'll probably run a lightweight flywheel from now on. There was one other minor thing that I was going to mention. Underneath your intake manifold, they have a foam pad front and back. And the old one was getting nasty. And I didn't put the new ones on because I just figured it would keep dirt out of there. It actually changes the sound. It kind of gives, when you've got the hood up and you're listening to the intake, it's got kind of a different sound underneath it now. So that may have been what they were for. But just if you ever leave them out, kind of expect it to sound a little more hollow sounding through there where it's sucking the air in. I assume that's what caused it, because they didn't change anything else in that area. But all the wiring works good. Well, I haven't fried anything yet. I went through and turned off all the trouble codes, so no check engine light. Everything that I did seems to be just fine. I didn't have any trouble with any of that. It's just the clutch, the little bit of air in the clutch. And I hadn't thought about bleeding it at that coupler. So if you ever have that trouble, open up that coupler and make sure your master cylinder is bled down to there. Because I mean, if you buy a new one, well, let me take that back. If you buy like a factory GM one, they will be pre-bled. You're not gonna, if you buy one of the aftermarket ones that doesn't have the hose or anything on it, it won't be pre-bled. But make sure you don't have an air bubble hung in the quick disconnect. That's all I can think of right now. So far, it's a total success. It's not puking out any fluids. It's not got billowing blue smoke. runs like crazy, so I'm happy. So I think I'll end this series here. If you guys think of anything that you want me to make a video of, just drop it in the comments. Anything that has to do with Corvette, I'll make a video about it. I don't care. I enjoy doing it. As normal, I've got lots of projects going. Can't really think of anything else I'm going to do to the Vette right now because I'm really, really happy with it. Just it's been sitting here in the garage 2 months. Got to clean all the dust off of it. But I'm going to end this video series here. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to keep up with everything I'm working on. Catch you on the next video. First date night since I got it back together. We'll see how this goes.